I have no idea how to even make an intro for this type of video properly. I mean, the starting clip is literally a dog shooting me with an invisible gun and getting jumped by a Yaogwai while Mr. House chills in the background. So I'm just gonna come out with it and say, can you beat Fallout New Vegas if everything is completely randomized? Doc Mitchell kind of honestly terrified me a little bit by being inside the chair, so I named my character and headed off to see that my specials were mostly randomized. I just drained charisma and spread it out evenly, although it did max out perception, so I of course took energy weapons as my main skill, which was a mistake, considering the game decided to start me with a unique Yaogwai gauntlet from Honest Hearts, which was pretty cool. I found a good spring settler that had Remnant's Enclave power armor, which was just, I mean, at the very beginning, like, come on. I obviously had to kill him, but apparently that didn't sit too well with the town folks as I immediately got hit with grenades. So I ran off to deal with some powder gangers, which also didn't go well because they, again, had grenades. I don't know why I just managed to deal with nothing but explosives right at the beginning of the run, but you know what, oh well. I stole pretty much everything that they had because it was cool. There was a lot of really fun weapons this run. Also, Victor came and surprised me. He was a mutated rat, which was somewhat terrifying, but oh well. After looting pretty much all of the weapons off of the powder gangers, I ended up with something that was really neat, that being a unique super sludge, and made my way over to Hidden Valley where I got, again, grenaded by a Nightkin Master. That was terrifying. On my way up towards Black Mountain, I found a feral ghoul right next to a Protectron and proceeded to fist both of them. It was at this point that I realized that I probably should have taken melee skills for this run because I got a ton of crazy good melee weapons right at the beginning of the run. I went to go see what Tabitha turned into and was very pleasantly surprised considering she died in one hit. After that, I continued my way off towards the strip and fought some raiders, one of which just was not proportional whatsoever. I killed some NCR deserters while protecting a wandering caravan because I wanted to see what their supplies were and figured if they were dead, I couldn't really check to see if they had any good equipment. I did manage to, kill them afterwards because one of the mercenaries had power armor and I wanted it. I also stopped by the Grub and Gulp and saw that Fitz was an absolute unit. I went in to check on the gunrunners and was kind of disappointed that the Vendertron wasn't just massive or a different creature, but oh well. I killed some dudes outside of Freeside and then went in and bartered with Mick and Ralph because I was laughably low on healing items at this point because all the merchant inventories were also randomized. I then got into a fight with some Freeside thugs, which was pretty terrifying considering one of them had a Gauss rifle and seemed to be completely invincible to regular firearms, but this was nothing a simple grenade couldn't solve. The Gauss rifle ended up being the Federator, which is a unique cut Gauss rifle, which is just absolutely insane. It's a fully automatic infinite ammo Gauss rifle, so it's pretty overpowered. With my new favorite way of committing war crimes simply attached to my character, I headed off and tested it against the followers of the apocalypse. It was insanely effective, considering it does about 30,000 damage per second, and headed off towards the strip. The Securitrons were all randomized, which was pleasantly surprising. Seeing all the different outfits and creatures in the strip was also pretty neat. It was kind of cool to just see all the different pieces of clothing that you normally don't see in a playthrough. Off to kill the Omertas, and it was kind of funny to see some of them having Fallout 3 armor, which are in the files for New Vegas, but aren't actually accessible. While slaughtering the Omertas, I figured I would go see what Big Sal turned into. Yeah, he was no longer Big Sal, he was Baby Sal, which is, fairly ironic. But the chairmen were next on the list of people to kill, which was fairly terrifying since a lot of them had really, really good weapons. I did manage to end up picking up the big-ass fire hydrant that the Super Mutant Behemoth normally uses in Fallout 3, which was kind of funny. I didn't even know that that was a weapon. Outside, I made sure to boop Vulpes and then head off to see what Mr. House had turned into. He was a giant Mr. Handy, which, that kind of fits Mr. House's theme, I think. It was even better down below, seeing that Mr. House was somehow down there, turned into a giant lake lurk, and Yes Man was also down there, turned into Mr. House. Moving on, it was time to head off to the fort, so I fast traveled back to El Dorado substation and promptly got nuked in the dry lake nearby because I, of course, can't go one Fallout run without getting bombed by something. The second time around, I took a different route through the area because I didn't feel like getting exploded again and dealt with a lake lurk instead that spits laser beams at me that also do a lot of damage. Nearby Nelson, the NCR kind of pissed me off, so I used some C4 that I found to just blow them up and then kill the rest of them because, you know, why not? I also wanted to see what weapons they had. I also stopped by a camp nearby and cleared out all the Legion members here. This is when I had fully pretty much committed to using either the Federator or melee weapons. The Federator I kind of stopped using around this point because I figured it was pretty overpowered. I didn't want to just make the entire run a cakewalk, but it also makes me kind of want to do a playthrough with just the Federator later on because, I mean, it wouldn't really be a challenge, but goddamn would that be a funny run to just have a fully automatic Gauss rifle with infinite ammo that just shoots at the speed of a minigun. Anyways, back to killing random people that were pretty much innocent on my adventure towards Cottonwood Cove. Once I'd killed pretty much anything on the way there, I got into a fistfight with a sentry bot for some reason, I'm not entirely sure why, and apparently I just slipped and, you know, cracked my ankle on my little trip down the cliff into Cottonwood Cove. The second time around was much smoother and I made it into the fort, where I figured killing the entire Legion was probably a good idea. So, using pretty much everything that I'd found at this point, which consisted of Deathclaw gauntlets, ballistic fists, and a whole bunch of other shit, I died immediately as soon as I got in there, pretty much. Of course, the second time around was much smoother as I killed the person with the grenades pretty much instantly and then spent the rest of the time just clearing out all the stragglers who couldn't really stand up to the massive amount of melee weapons that I had at this point. I mean, I'm just kind of enjoying the fact that I get to use decent weapons for once. Also ended up using a lot of weapons that I never really consider using or even remember about whenever I play through Fallout, like the Ballistic Fist. I mean, I'd never use that thing, or any of like the gloves from the Old World Blues DLC, or a lot of the melee weapons that I use this run are just weapons that I never really seem to remember existing on any given playthrough. But the robots inside the weather station were pretty different. I don't, like, again, I don't know what to say here, man. There's so much just wrong with a randomizer for New Vegas. Like, Fallout is not a game that you think about randomizing. You think about randomizing like Pokemon, not Fallout. This entire run terrified me, basically. I'm pretty sure I have some trauma from doing this, considering the atrocities that I've seen this entire run. I mean, I've gotten beaten up and blown up by a midget this run more times than I care to admit. But anyways, back to Mr. House, who was now a giant nightkin, and it was off to deal with the boomers, where I got killed by a grenade. Again, I don't know why I keep dying to explosives this run. It's just everything seems to have really damn good explosive weapons. I'm never gonna get over the fact that I just keep dying to explosives in New Vegas. It's like the only thing that ever kills me is either explosives or fall damage. I don't know why. It's just how it is. Back to the task at hand, I of course disintegrated George before heading into the Boomers camp and beelining straight for Pearl, who I beat to death with a cool glowing blue axe that I found, I think, while I was in the fort. I also made sure to go off and beat Loyal and Jack, who were subsequently wearing the same outfit. I'm not entirely sure what the odds of that are. I don't really care to do the math, but then I got ass fucked when I was in the little hangar dealing with the rest of the Boomers because they all charged me in this tiny little corridor and I died to, you guessed it, a grenade. I have no words at this point. The second time around went much smoother as I just lured them into the corridor and used the unique minigun that I picked up earlier, the CZ75 Avenger, which is actually one of my favorite weapons. I just never end up using it because it's really annoying to get because it's so far out of the way. That, and I don't really use miniguns or heavy weapons in any of my challenge runs. Back to Good Springs, for some reason, I just decided to go on a killing spree here, because, you know, I wanted revenge for what happened to me at the beginning of the game, so I killed pretty much everyone around the town, as well as Doc Mitchell. I'm sorry, Doc Mitchell, it has to happen. I don't like killing Doc Mitchell, but I don't really have a choice. Also, Mr. House was here, just chilling, and then it was off to deal with the Brotherhood. This is quite literally probably the most comedic attempt I will ever have dealing with the Brotherhood. I mean, one of them was in a hazmat suit, one of them was in like a Merc adventure outfit, and then the other one was basically naked. None of the Brotherhood really put up much of a fight this run, except for the one that decided to suicide bomb me with Annabelle. Again, explosives. Next time, I made sure to promptly kill him first before he could hit me with a missile, and then killed one of the Brotherhood Paladins who was celebrating his birthday, which made me feel kind of bad, but the rest of the time through the bunker it wasn't all that bad. One of the Brotherhood members ended up being in Enclave Remnant's power armor, which I thought was pretty ironic considering, the whole Brotherhood Enclave rivalry, but the rest of the members inside didn't really stand a chance because I managed to pick up an explosive anti-material rifle off of one of the dead bodies. So, with the bunker completely destroyed, I could finally head back and deal with the Eldorado substation, where I just bonked a couple soldiers to death, one of which ended up being kind of invincible until I reloaded a save, and then he died just like everyone else, when a giant, metal hammer hits you in the head. But with everyone in there dead, I headed back to Mr. House, who was a giant plant this time. It's kind of funny that his model keeps changing. I don't know why his creature model keeps getting updated every time I go there, but time for the second battle of Hoover Dam. I started by killing the Great Khans here because I was going to slaughter absolutely everyone here, no mercy for any of the factions. I pretty much pissed off everyone at this point except for, a couple of the minor factions, so I figured why not just kill everyone here. A couple of the Legion Centurions were kind of terrifying, especially this one that was just in fucking Enclave power armor again. I don't know why I keep getting Enclave power armor enemies. Also, one of the NCR heavy troopers decided that a fist fight was a good option against the giant metal hammer, but ignoring that, I got noob-tubed by my own Securitron, so the only, proper response was for me to just beat him to death with the metal hammer and move on to deal with the rest of the Legion. Outside, I just got grenaded so many times that I couldn't even see what the fuck was happening, but inside the Legates camp, there wasn't really much the guards could do, as most of them were pretty pathetic for what armor and weapons they had. I mean, one of them just hit me with a throwing axe, and the other one was just, half naked. The Legate was automatically hostile to me for some reason. I don't know if that's just part of the mod or if something else happened to cause that, but he also was not a challenge whatsoever considering he had basically no armor and a really shitty weapon. So I killed the rest of the guards in the camp who weren't all that challenging, and General Oliver arrived, who was, a little man. He was very tiny. It took him quite a while to walk up to me to be able to talk to me, but I pissed him off, so I pulled out my missile launcher and killed all of the NCR in the area, and with that, I had beat Fallout New Vegas while it being completely randomized. I actually kind of want to do a couple more randomizer challenges. I think it'd be fun to do like the DLC or pretty much anything to do with the randomizer. I mean, this is just my favorite mod at this point. This is absolutely amazing. But as always, I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave any suggestions in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate all the support lately. We're only about 150 subs away from 1K, which is absolutely crazy to me considering I really only started focusing on content about a month ago. But thank you guys so much, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.